Hello, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Monstercat. This is the podcast in which me, your host Mika, talks about what's happened this week in Monstercat. Today, I am joined with my good friend, Peter.
Yes, as always.
Yeah, he's here. And again, I know it's third week in a row, another more quiet episode. Ever since we had that little break, it's been harder to get people back on, but I'm sure we'll be able to get people back on soon enough. I've messaged a couple of people, but they haven't gotten back to me, but I'm sure we will soon enough. But so yeah, this week, because we did miss last week because Pete was away, and I didn't just want to do one by myself because I thought that'd be a bit boring. We are gonna have to do a catch-up episode in which we're gonna be going over 2 weeks, which means 6 songs. But yeah, so basically today we're gonna be talking about the new Intercom track, Decoy World, Tokyo Machine's Bubbles, Slips and Slows. Is it called Movin' Hectic?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Yep. Topi Got to Be something? Just got to be. Stonebank with By Your Side, and Jay Cosmic with his debut track Ascend. And so, Pete, do you just want to get straight into the first track?
That would be Decoy World, yes?
Yeah, Decoy World by Intercom. I'm sure that, Pete, you could, I'm sure you feel the same way. I was very excited when I heard Intercom was having his first single, like his first non-remix track, because all of his remixes up until this point have been bloody awesome. What are the 2 tracks he's done? Cold Skin and
Saving Light.
Saving Light, and they've both been pretty damn good remixes.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure we were both pretty damn excited to see what he could do.
For sure.
And
exciting.
I was also sort of relieved when I saw that it had Park Avenue, who overall I think has been quite a good vocalist, especially for male vocalists, because I don't like male vocalists all that much, but he's been, like, I know you disagree with me, Pete, but the Anivo track he was in, Waiting on Your Call, I love the vocals.
I'm just not a big fan of that track in general.
Yeah, but so yeah, I don't think I'd be the only one saying that this track, Decoy World, is not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
From Intercom. I was expecting industrial sort of housey stuff, like he'd been showing on the other stuff, like a bit of a no-takery, no-manner sort of sound. Even like a little bit of AGN03, which I've been hearing. But this is much more sort of... I feel like this song played it a lot more safe than that, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, it's got the vocal-driven pop structure, and Park Avenue, thankfully, is alright. He's not bad in the song. He has some good moments.
I think he sounds okay. I just don't think it fits the rest of the track very well. Like, at all. It's like his kind of vocals, as much as I wasn't a big fan of Waiting on Your Call, I think his kind of vocals suit that kind of song perfectly. But this feels like one of those... This feels a lot more like... I don't know how to put it. A lot more like... It's not a very poppy track or anything like that. And I think that's where Park Avenue would work really well in the kind of housey, poppy kind of stuff. And he'd, do a good job of making the vocals there not terrible. But this feels more like a normal electronic song. I'm not sure what the genre is, but his vocals just feel out of place.
It's probably synth something.
Yeah.
Synth something, probably.
I'll see what it... Keep talking and I'll see what it says.
It just says it's electronic on Monstercat.
Okay, yeah, of course.
But, yeah, so... I actually surprised myself by quite liking the vocals here, because they have a lot... They have quite a sort of Chris Martin from Coldplay sound to it, and a bit of a Radiohead sort of sound to his vocals, which is nice, because I love those 2 bands. And of course he's nowhere near as good as those here, but he still sounds good. Like the main chorus bit where he's just, singing about the decoy world and stuff, that's really good. The verses, not as good, but as much as the vocals are good, I don't think that they can even come close to carrying the rest of the song, because this song's just, like, it's really basic, instrumentally. Like, the drops are they're just sort of repetitive, one melody synth pop style. Would you agree, Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just... I expected Intercom to be doing a lot more, like, creative stuff, where there was a lot more going on than just sort of one big lead and a really basic beat and some vocals, but that's sort of just what the song boils down to, unfortunately. Yeah? Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say on it?
Yeah, I'd like to actually have a chance to speak at length about it. I've said this like
Yeah, go ahead.
once. I've said this once before, and I still stand by it. This song, the things that are wrong with it, and the feel that it gives me, it totally reminds me of what's it called, "Till It's Over" by Tristam from 016. It just feels so grounded in that electronic trying to sound inspirational but not quite making it kind of feel. It, like, especially, like, I used to like that song when I first started getting into Monstercat, but, you know, as time has gone on, it just feels, I don't know, it just feels shallow. And that's how I feel about this song. It feels like it's going, whatever it's going for, it just doesn't hit it in the slightest. And that's really what disappoints me about it. Like, especially when I hear the rhythm in the drop of that one sound, when it goes like dun 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 dun, dun, I'm like, that is an electronic song, and it doesn't even seem to try to be any more creative. And considering it's from Intercom, that's what hurts the most. If it was from an artist that I didn't expect much from, this could be a decent song, but he built a reputation of making this really cool experimental kind of stuff. Then he releases his first track, and it's just nothing even slightly like that. And I'm sure he might change that in the future, but it would have helped to have a better first impression in terms of making his own songs.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And, like, both the drops are pretty much the same as well.
Yeah.
Like, and the ending's nice with the cello, but the rest of the song, I don't know, I just feel like this isn't the sound that Intercom should be going for.
No.
I feel like this doesn't really... But then again, he can do whatever he wants, and whatever he thinks sounds good is good, but, just personally, I reckon we can both agree that this isn't what we were looking for with him at all. But, yeah, do you have anything else to say on it?
Nah.
No? Yeah. So, yeah, that was Intercom with Decoy World. The next track we'll be talking about is Bubbles by Tokyo Machine, and because, Pete, I know you're a much larger Tokyo Machine fan than me, I'll let you kick this off. Tell us how you feel about it.
I'm not the biggest fan of this song, and I have a good reason why, and this has been a problem with my couple of his other songs. What Tokyo Machine used to do, like, especially if you look at his first tracks, is he would have a very cutesy beginning, a very cutesy kind of 8-bit Japanesey kind of starting, and it would all be happy and fun, but then he'd be like, no, that's not what we're doing, and he'd have a really cool heavy trop, like in Party, or in OK, or in anything like that. The problem is, this song lacks the bit where it goes heavy and cool, and it just stays on that kind of cutesy and fun level the whole time, and that's not what I listen to Tokyo Machine for. And I think this is his second worst track, personally. I think it's better than Hype, just because I actually really like the beat and things like that in the last drop especially. I think it's got some cool things going on, but overall, this is just, like, completely missing the point of what I think is cool about a lot of Tokyo Machine's work.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I really preferred it when he, like, contrasted really heavy with, like, really upbeat and chirpy. And that would always sort of make the upbeat, happy bit stand out more and sound cooler in context with the rest of the song. But in this song, it's one of those songs where, like, everything that isn't the drop sort of just falls behind and you completely forget about it. Like, the off-drop stuff's really not very impressive. It's just, like, it's got a vocal chop and some stuff. And the first drop, like, the main lead, the sort of, like, droppy, like the sort of, like, plucky sound of the main lead, I don't like at all. The sort of vocal droppy pluck thing. But luckily, when you get to the second drop, I actually really like the main lead there. It sounds, I don't know, it's drivey.
Very electro-y.
Yeah, definitely. And as much as it's sort of that, like, happy electro sound, which generally I don't like, I think it really works here. One criticism I have of the song, and it's same with, like, a lot of Tokyo Machine stuff, and I know Pete's talked about this before, is how, like, this song is the most, like, pathetic attempt at breaks. It's so, like,
yeah,
it's just, like, in especially the second drop, like, I don't even hear how this is breaks. It's just, like, the beat just sounds like a sort of like a book, boo ka sort of thing. It doesn't have any breaksy stuff to it at all.
Doesn't
It's
have
so
the drive.
basic.
The best kind of break speed is one that's like leads the song and gives the song drive. But this just feels. It genuinely, if I could imagine someone playing the drums to this, they would just be lazily hitting it. Like they've been there for 4 hours and they just want to go home. I feel like that's what Tokyo Machine's drums and breakbeats sound like.
Well, I mean, I feel like the first and third drops sort of do a better job of making it feel a bit more breaksy than the second drop does, just because they have that like sort of drivey bass in the background that like sort of blurts out every so often, which sort of emphasizes the beat. But, I mean, that's especially in the first drop. But, I mean, and what you're saying about the beat being more interesting in the third drop, I definitely get. It's got more of a sort of, like, trap sound.
Yeah.
Dubstepy trap thing, because it's a bit slower. But I just feel like all of the sort of, this isn't a complaint I have often about music, but all of the drum samples and just all of the drums in the song are, like, at times, it's like almost hard to hear them, because it feels like he knew that they weren't all that impressive, and so he just sort of wanted to hide them away in the background, where all they did was just sort of drive the song forwards, and they weren't really something you noticed in the track, which, I mean, if that's how he wants to do drums, and they just sort of want to be a background thing, so we can put all of the emphasis on the bass and the melodies, and that's fine, but then you got to make the bass and the melodies really, really good. Whereas here, the bass and the melodies are, like, okay, and the drums are just sort of left in the background, and really easy to ignore, if you know what I mean. Like, it's really easy to listen to this song for me without even, like, thinking about the drums or the beats or anything, which is a bit of a pity. And that's an issue with a lot of Tokyo Machine. I feel like his samples are quite a bit too quiet and aren't very strong or bassy or powerful all the time. They're just a bit, like, pathetic, you know?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. This is one of his weaker tracks. I mean, it's not his weakest track by far.
No,
like,
definitely not.
This has got a lot more going on than Hype, and probably like this more than, what was the song, Laser or something? Beam or...
Last?
What was it? Blast, yeah. This is probably a bit better than that, but like the first couple tracks he released were probably always going to be his best. Like,
yeah, I
Party
reckon
OK and Fight.
Yeah.
They're like really good. Sort of. For
as
far as this style of music goes, I reckon he nailed it there.
I mean, there's also the first thing that has changed since then is the first thing that I mentioned when I first started talking about the song, the lack of cool contrast. But the other thing is just, it feels like a one-trick pony who the one trick was
100%
was the cutesy and then the hard, and now instead of trying to come up with a new trick, he decided to just get rid of the trick entirely. Instead of just being cutesy and then hard, now he's just cutesy. Which is just boring, honestly.
Yeah, is that all you have to say on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very non-outstanding song, and honestly, I would not be surprised if I never listen to it again. Like, and not out of just like not wanting to, because I don't hate it that much. It's just like,
it's just why would
after
you want
this podcast, I'm probably never gonna think of it ever again.
Yeah.
But speaking of a song that probably won't be forgotten as quickly, we have the next track, Slips and Slurs with Moving Hectic, featuring Harry Shoda. And I know what Pete's gonna be saying, and I think I'll kick it off. So if anyone who's been listening should probably know, I don't know if I've brought it up that much, but should probably know that I'm quite a big fan of rap when it's done well, and Pete is too, definitely. Like, I grew up on Eminem, and Pete's been listening to a lot of Hilltop Hoods and those sort of things. And, so we can both appreciate when rap is done really well, and especially at Monstercat. Like, so far, Monstercat's got a pretty good lineup of rap with...
Definitely.
Greatness and... what are the other rap songs that are on here?
The concepts, both of Concept on Stonebank's tracks, like Chokehold and...
yeah, they're really
the other
good.
one, they're really
really good. Yeah. But I think Greatness, in my opinion, is the best example of rap on the label. Like, that song just nailed it. It's absolutely wonderful. And now, this song, like, in the rap scene, British rappers can be pretty controversial. Like, some people just, because British rappers have such strong accents, a lot of people just sort of, that sort of almost takes over the way that the rapper sounds, and they can't ignore it. And so for that reason, a lot of people don't like the way British rappers sound, and this guy's got a really heavy accent in this song. And I'm sort of lying in the middle. Sometimes I really like the way British rappers can sound, but in this song, he's alright. I feel he's not amazing. I feel like lyrically this song's pretty strong for a rap song. I mean, the third verse is a bit of just a sort of brag rap thing where he's gone on about how good he is at rapping and how he can't be beaten and stuff, which I don't really care about. But sort of either the second or the fourth, I don't know if there is a fourth verse, but one of the verses towards the middle, he's like talking about how he feels that celebrity and pop culture is sort of way too like obsessed with social media, which I can totally agree with.
Yeah, it's the third verse.
And alright, so the second verse is the brag. I don't know, wherever he gets braggy I don't like. But the third one's really good. And the first one where he's just sort of hanging shit on other rappers is also good. There was a bit of a lazy bit in the song where he rhymes the word future with the word future.
It works well though.
I mean, I'm never gonna excuse a rapper for working. As much as I agree, it flows well. The reason it flows well is because he rhymes it because they're both the same word. And that's like in the rap community, that's considered just really lazy.
But I think the difference here though is because one is referring to the actual word and one is referring to the actual
and the
name.
other is referring to the rapper. But yeah, I know, but it's still the same word. Like, but
Is that really that bad?
Yes, it is. It's a creative use, but it's still like he could have used a different word. Because the first one is like something to do with dinosaurs and old people are running the future, and the next one's hanging shit on the rapper Future, which I can totally agree with. Future is terrible. Because he basically created mumble rap, the genre.
Yeah, boy.
Fucking crazy about it. And that's the biggest fucking stupid trend in rap music. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But so I have no problem with him hanging shit on Future. Just when he rhymes future with future, that's a bit lazy. But still, it flows well and it works, and like the song still, has a good flow. Yeah. But what do you think of the rap, Pete?
I fucking love it. It carries the song for me. If it was just the drops, I wouldn't care for this song at all. Like I reckon I'm generally a bit more into British rap than you are. Like I'm constantly, for the most part, I always dig it, and what I really like about this rapper in particular, which I know, of course, he's not the only one that would do it, but I really like the contrast between, the moments where he's just kind of rapping, but I love the moments where he actually gets really, really passionate and really, really into it, almost to the point that it's kind of like yelling. And if that was all it was, I would find that irritating, but I think the fact that he gets that kind of passion at the right moments, or just not all the time, I think works really, really well and really helps drive the song.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of power with this voice, which is good, and the production really helps with that. I'd say that would you agree with me that the when it comes to the instrumentals of this track, the best instrumentals are in the off-drop segments?
Oh, definitely, without a
just
doubt.
supporting the vocals.
Yeah,
and especially between the first and second drop.
Yes.
The bit between the first
part.
and second drop, the way that it sort of takes elements of the drop and elements of the off drops and gets like really hyped and complex, and then layers the vocals over it and sounds great. It sounds really, really good, and the mixing between the vocals and the between the rap and the instrumentals is just perfect in that bit, and it's just like it matches his voice and the hype and everything so well. And another thing I really like about the song is like the little bits where like in the background this sort of more like somber piano comes in, which you wouldn't expect in a track like this, but it works really well and sort of relaxes the track a bit and adds a bit of like quite a dark sort of feeling to it. And it's like that the bits of the track that have that piano are really, really nice.
Yeah.
Which is definitely not what I expected from a Slips and Slurs trap song with a rapper on top. But
it doesn't surprise me if you think of songs like Vissimus and all that. They were filled with that kind of piano stuff. If anyone's gonna do it, it'd probably be Slippy.
Yeah, just haven't heard him do that sort of thing in a while.
Yeah, it's true.
But unfortunately, if we get to the drops, I think that the song, this is like, especially the first drop, the lead is so uncreative.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I've heard that exact dun 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 in like a million songs. Like, that's a really uncreative trap thing. I mean, the sounds kind of cool. It's got like it's got a jungle terror sort of vibe to the main lead, which is interesting. And the the badass brass that comes in. There's a bit of a trope in trap now, but it still sounds quite cool. But I think we can both agree that the first drop's a bit empty and a bit generic and non-creative and that sort of thing.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Like, I'm listening to it now. There's nothing about it that's creative or original, which isn't the end of the world because the rest of the song carries it. But this first drop could definitely be a lot more. But thankfully, it goes into the bit in between the first and second drops, which is amazing.
That's when he gets
the best bit of the song.
When I'm thinking about the bit about him being really passionate, that's the bit that I'm thinking of. It's so good.
Yeah, it works really well with the production. And then, so then it goes into the second drop.
The second drop's really
good. I know
good.
Pete. Yeah, I know you said it was your favorite bit. So why?
No, not my favorite bit. My favorite drop. My favorite drop. Not my favorite bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think it just sounds a little weird and a little like I know it's not the most creative thing in the world, but I just really like the weird kind of way it sounds.
Yeah, it has a bit of a sort of getter sound to it, doesn't it? That sort of like unapologetically just strange sound design.
Yeah.
It's sort of the way that like the sound bends and curves in a way that's just like really sort of like a bit unsettling, and it's really cool. It's really cool. Drop's still a bit empty in my mind. Like it doesn't have all that much going on. It's got like some brass and it's got trappy bass and beats and it's got that. But I agree that drop is the best bit in the song. Sorry, the best drop in the song. But yeah, and then that leaves us with the last drop, which, if I remember,
it's not the same as the first, but it's got the same sound. It's just a different melody.
It's just, a different chord progression.
Which is,
I mean, it's better and it has some cool bits, but like the
problem is that the build up for that drop is so good. Like the way the rap intertwines with the actual instrumental of the build up itself isn't that good, but the way the rap intertwines with it and it feels like he's actually getting faster as the build up happens. I fucking love it. And then when that's the drop that follows it up, that leaves me feeling a bit like
definitely. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. There are a couple things I like in this drop. Like there are bits where there's a bit near, like, in the first third of the drop or something, where the brass goes, like, dut, 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 which is really cool. But, there's not that much to say about this drop that's really good. Yeah. So, overall, I'd say that by far, and I'm sure Pete agrees, that by far the rap, segments of the song are what carry this track. And without it, this would just be another forgettable trap track. But by no means are the drops terrible.
No.
Especially the second one is quite cool. But yeah, you got anything more to say on this track?
Not really. It's fucking great. It's probably my second favorite of the album so far, I'd say. Of course, Nobuki's still sitting up there being fucking fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
But I love this song too.
Yes, it's pretty. It's great to see something that's a bit more, not original, but like. This isn't the sort of thing Monstercat generally uploads, and it's good to see something new.
Also, I like the album art.
To change the pace. Album art's quite cool, yeah. So, that will bring us to the next track, which is the Topi track, Got to Be. It's drum and bass, which, of course, is exciting. And I just wanted to mention, before we get into the track, that the background of the music video looks a lot like the old Monstercat Stars layout. And I'm wondering if that's meant to be like a little reference or something, because it looks a lot like it, which is nice. But, so I only heard the song for the first time a couple hours ago, and I was really surprised by how, the sort of theming it was going for. I was not expecting the sort of space, like the cool space sort of theme that the song does, especially in the intros. And that's really cool. I reckon it does it really well. Yeah, I didn't know the song was gonna have that theme. Do you like the sort of intro off-droppy bits, Pete?
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. I think that there may be, because Topi generally doesn't try and go for that much of a theme besides who needs melodies, just take basses in the drops. That's sort of just the theme he does.
Yeah. And
it's good to see him branching out and trying to get a bit more of a like minor storytelling element to one of those tracks, which I really like. And the sort of like light synth backing and main like spacey lead is really, really nice in the intro. And it goes into like some pretty nice sort of drum and bass off drop bits and I'd say that the build ups in this track are pretty damn solid. How do you feel about them, Pete?
About the build-ups?
Yeah.
They're alright.
Yeah, I don't know why, they just sort of, I find them pretty damn cool. But this is, I feel like this is one of those songs where you're really there for the drop.
Yeah.
And the drops in this song are, I don't like them as much as I was expecting to like them. Like, when I saw that there was drum and bass, I was like, oh, this is gonna be really, really good. But, the drops definitely aren't bad, but they don't, like, 100% grab me. The sounds are a bit sort of, like, and this is a good thing, but it just, like, doesn't quite work for me. The sounds are a bit sort of, like, they just have this sort of off, like, slightly off-time, off-beat way where they just don't quite sound right, which is a good thing, and that's, like, a really good thing that Toby should be going for. And there's something which is definitely going to grow on me in this song, but, like, on first listen, it's just, like, a bit jarring, like, whoa. But, definitely from a sound design standpoint, this is quite a cool song, but unfortunately, the drops sort of just, like, they sort of just, like, use one sound. They just sort of just have, like, a drum and bass beat and just sort of, like, one sound that they repeat at different times, different paces, which can get a bit old, I'd say. What do you think, Pete?
I think the drops last a bit too long, if I'm being entirely honest. Like, especially listening to the first one. Like, it does keep on changing, but, like, I feel like instead of just changing in all these different ways, some of these different sections of the drop would just work better as their own drops with a little bit more separation from one another. Because my favourite bit of, like, if we're talking about the first drop especially, my favourite bit of the first drop is just the start of the first drop. And it keeps on changing, and I'm like, alright, this is still kinda cool, but it does it a bit too slowly for me. It changes slowly in a bunch of little ways, but I think it would just be better if you just had the first drop sounding like that start bit, and then have it just sound majorly different in the second drop, which albeit it does sound very different in the second drop, but yeah, I just think they go on a bit too long.
Yeah, definitely. And the sound design isn't particularly varied at all in the drops. Like, it's sort of just like, yeah. And the second drop's a bit of an improvement. It has some more sort of creative sound design going on. But it's still quite similar with just sort of like a couple of sounds that are repeated throughout most of the thing at a very similar pace to the first one. And, yeah, I don't know, like, I feel like the drops in the song, just for me, like, I was expecting to like them a hell of a lot more than I do. And they just sort of don't quite get there for me. They're not bad by any means, and it's good to see this sort of more, like, there's a very unapologetically, like, mean, angry, heavy song. And in a different way to just sort of like your bro step, you know, song. This isn't trying to be like a easy, like, because bro step, as much as it's heavy, it's still quite sort of easy to listen to. This isn't that. This is much more sort of, this song's definitely not just trying to appeal to a mass market of people. This is definitely a more strange song that's a bit more difficult to listen to at times, which is good, which is definitely a good thing. But I feel like this song could use a bit more, in the drops, a bit more creativity to its sound design. But yeah, I really like the off drops a lot, and the drops aren't bad enough for me to say it ruins the track, so I still enjoy this song. Yeah, what else do you have to say, Pete?
I think I like it a bit more than you do. I definitely see what you were saying. Like, especially the first time I heard that first drop, I'm like, I don't like that sound very much. It's actually kind of irritating to me. But I don't know, as it's gone on, I feel like it's a similar thing that happened with Swapping Things. When Swapping Things came out,
yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of it at all, but as time has gone on, it's a fucking awesome track. And I still don't think
that's
this
how
track...
I felt at the start.
I don't think this track is as good as Swapping Things, but still, I think just with time, it grows on me more and more.
It would be very hard to be as good as Swapping Things. Yeah, but yeah, so is that all you have to say on it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I feel like this song could have been quite a bit more, but it's still pretty good as it is, and I'm not mad that it exists. I was expecting more when I heard drum and bass, and I saw that it was like space themed. I was like, oh, this could be really, really good. But yeah, so that should bring us to
Next.
the next track, Stonebank.
No, let's talk
side.
about Ascend by J Cosmic, please. I'm not particularly...
Yeah, let's just ignore that the Stonebank song exists.
I guess we have to talk about it.
Okay, well, we can get through it in about, like, a minute. So yeah, this is the new Stonebank track by your side. Did I say Stone Trank? Stonebank. By your side featuring ML. If you've ever heard a Stonebank hardcore song, this song it's just that. It's just happy hardcore. Now, surprisingly, I actually think that ML's performance in this song is quite good. It might actually be her best in my mind. Like, these sort of Stonebanky hardcore songs always have quite good off-drops. But then they always just come back to the exact same thing when it comes to the drop. And, like, this definitely isn't the worst of his happy hardcore songs.
Yeah, I think
but
the
it's like the
melody's okay.
50th.
Yeah.
It's like the 50th happy hardcore song. I don't think, no matter how good it was, I don't think he could release another song like this and it'd be good in my mind.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, it's just fucking, it's just another hardcore song. As much as the melody's not terrible, and the beat has like a tiny bit of the sort of like hard style Cancer sound, which I actually think works quite well here because it has a bit more drive and a bit more bass to it and a bit more distortion. But you know, this sort of euphoric hard style or euphoric hard dance or happy hardcore, whatever you call it, just it's never 100% grabbed me. If you want to be getting emotions out of hardcore, you just have to make trance. like trance is just emotional hardcore and better hardcore, in my mind. And if you were gonna be making hardcore, you need to make it bassy and angry and mean and like weird. And this song really isn't that. This is just another playing it safe Stonebank song, the same style of track that he puts out every fucking 2 months. It's just like, it's a nothing song. it as much as it's definitely not terrible, it's not his worst hardcore song by far. It's like, who is ever gonna, I'm sure there will be people, but I'm just speaking from the way I see it, who is gonna remember this track in a month or in 3 months? Like, after this album's come out and everyone's had like the 2 months of listening to it and really liking it, after that's gone past, like, who's gonna go back and be like, I really want to listen to By Your Side by Stonebank? I just can't imagine that happening. Like, it's not the worst song in the world, but yeah, what do you have to say on it, Pete?
Why does he only use ML on the hardcore tracks anymore? I really like her vocals, but Stonebank only uses her on the fucking hardcore tracks, and it's really frustrating because I don't want to listen to the hardcore tracks. I also want to hear ML.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Do you agree that she is pretty damn good in this song?
Yeah, but I'd rather it be on a different song.
Yeah, definitely.
Wasted potential.
Yeah. So yeah, there's not much to say on it. We'll get through that one quickly. It's just another Stonebank hardcore song. If you like that, you like this. If you don't, you're good. Alright, so the last track we're going to be talking about today is probably the most conflicting track in my mind that we're going to be talking about today. We have J Cosmic with Ascend. And J Cosmic, I don't know about how I feel about him. From the other stuff I've heard, he's just that he releases like very not particularly heavy or good dubstep on Spinnin' and other really big labels. He's had a couple UKF tracks and a couple Spinnin' and a couple Ministry of Sound tracks, but this this track I was actually quite surprised by, in all honesty. But I'm interested to see what Pete says. So I'll let you get into it. How do you feel about it?
There's a lot to talk about with this one. First of all, a track over 3.5 minutes is a good start.
Woo!
It's like actually 4.5.
That isn't
good.
like, and it actually sort of, unlike the last Stonebank track, it actually sort of has a reason to be that long.
Yeah,
the song does sort of try and build a...
Two things that you don't see very often: 4.5 minutes. And it takes about nearly 2 minutes to get to the first drop, which are both things I can appreciate a lot, especially like the first minute and a half of the song. It's very, very cool. It's got some very good atmosphere and world building that I think, apart from a couple elements that I'm not particularly fond of, I think overall it pulls it off really well. And as much as the
only large issues I can see with the intro of the track, like the intro is beautiful, like the sort of the melodies and the strings and all that, like really dramatic sort of film score sound he goes for, works really well. The only big issue I see is like the vocal chops sound so like 2011, you know, like shitty melodic dubstep that I would listen to when I was like 12.
That
like the vocal chop sounds like that.
That brings me on to one of the things I was gonna say though. This song is dubstep, but for the first time in a long time, it's not melodic dubstep and it's not bro step, which is a good change. This feels like dubstep that you would expect to hear like 2012, maybe even 2011, and honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's nice to hear something like this again when all dubstep these days is like one sound bro step or like Coven melodic dubstep, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with those things, but I feel like this kind of style of dubstep has just kind of died, so it's kind of nice to see something like this show its face again, and I actually really like all of the drops in this song, a pretty decent amount. Pretty much the only thing that I hear in it that sounds typical, there's two things in it that sound very typical to what you'd hear these days, which is the hardcore drop at the end, that's like, happens in a lot of dubstep these days, and one of the melody sounds that happens in between the dubstep sounds in like the first drop sounds just like it was ripped from a Stonebank Happy hardcore song. But apart from that...
Yeah, well, that's sort of like... Yeah, that sort of sound was really popular in that old style of dubstep. Like, there was that sort of contrast between like the sort of happy, euphoric sounds and like the heavy dubstep stuff, which was a big part of the sort of dubstep scene from back then. So if this song is trying to be like a homage to that, it's like, it's pretty accurate in it. Talking about the drops, like I really like the drops here. My only issue is that the beat's basic as fuck.
I think I like the
it works,
1, 2,
it works,
3, 4
but
pacing.
it works to carry the song along, but it doesn't do anything more than that. Like I couldn't listen to it and be like, ooh, this, I can actually listen to this beat. It just sort of, it does its thing.
I feel like it fits into
like
a similar role of like electro, of like it's
definitely.
Yeah, it's not the forefront.
Yeah. But like, I love like the whereas other dubstep songs we've heard recently, like especially the Riot ones from last album, they were able to really get the kick to really have a lot of power to it by like dropping a lot of the levels on the rest of the track out when the kick comes in, so it really punches through the rest of the track with like really good sidechain and all that. But here, the beat just sort of is a bit flat and falls in the background, which could be better, but it's not the end of the world. And I don't like the melodies in the drop, like, because it's sort of, the drop sort of got two things it swaps between, like you were saying. It has like the fast, dubsteppy, sort of almost trap-sounding lead, and then it like swaps for a few seconds over to like the like you said, the hardcore-sounding melody, and then swaps back to the dubstep. And I like the dubstep sounds, they're fast and they're cool, but the melody, as much as it's good to throw variation to the track, it sounds like really cliche and cheesy of that sort of style of dubstep. But then again, it's still nice to sort of harken back to that sound, which I used to listen to so much when I was a lot younger. Yeah, and can I also just say, the build-ups in this track are so good.
Yeah.
Like, they make me think of like Boy and the Beast or something. They're so like mean and industrial, and like they sound like some alarm or sirens gone off in like a meltdown or something. It's awesome. And but it sort of gave me the wrong impression of what the drop was going to be. I was expecting something a bit more creative, but that being said, like you said, I really, really like the way this song pays homage to all the dubstep, and it's great to see something that isn't generic melodic dubstep or generic bro step on Monstercat, because this sort of fits into that middle ground between the melodic and the bro step sounds.
Something that I forgot
I reckon it works really well.
existed.
Yeah, really, like, ever since Fractal left, you sort of haven't been able to find that middle ground of, ever since Fractal and AU5 left, you haven't been able to find that middle ground in dubstep that they were able to do so well, especially with, you know, tracks like Blue or Halcyon or you know, Spection or what was that drum and bass one he had on 15 Fractal? Although maybe it was Breaks. The one he had on 15 that you really
Duality?
liked, the reverse drum and bass beat. Yeah, Duality, like that sort of sound of like heavy dubstep. I know that song isn't dubstep, but it still fits like the sort of mid-tier between bro step and melodic dubstep, which those artists did so well. And this sort of hits those nerves, which I haven't heard in a long time. I really like. And yeah, like, so yeah, all the off drops are really nice and cool and atmospheric, and they've got that sort of storytelling element, which I always love in music. And doesn't this song have like a Moombaton bit in it? Or am I just hearing it wrong?
So. It depends on what you're talking about. It's got like a build.
Yeah,
It's got
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
Moomba
yeah.
build up at
Like-
some point.
Like 240, like 245, 249.
hear-
Sounds
let me
like
hear this.
Moomba. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
I
Yeah, it's
don't think so.
yeah, like two. Maybe I don't know.
We're talking like 245.
Maybe. Yeah, around there.
Oh yeah, it's got that
like a
sound in the
boom,
background.
boom,
Yeah,
boom,
yeah.
boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom. Yeah.
it's just too slow.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's cool. It's
Yeah,
interesting. But then, so yeah, there's another really good build up, and you get to the third drop, and I was really hoping that this drop was going to do something different. I wasn't just going to be the same as sort of the first one and the second one, and sort of just be more dubstep. And thankfully, as you said earlier, Pete, it's hardcore, which is a really good change of pace, and it's really climactic, and it's quite badass for the ending of the track, and I feel like it works really well. That hardcore drop at the end. It's sort of, so it has a bit of a Kuro sound to it, which I quite like. How do you feel about the hardcore one?
Great.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so overall, this is my favorite track of the episode. I'd say of these 2 weeks. I didn't think I'd like it that much, but after I listened to it more and more, I actually really dig this track. It's so rare recently to see Monstercat sign tracks that have 2-minute long intros and are 4.5 minutes, and sort of try and convey emotion in some way that isn't just cool bro badass sounds or, you know, happy-go-lucky future bass. And I like, you know, that those sort of these vibes of you know, storytelling and beauty and stuff is really what made me get into Monstercat, and seeing the rare moment when Monstercat brings that back is really good, and gives me faith in them, which I need. But yeah, do you got anything more to say on it?
Yeah, I feel like this track is the track that no one asked for, but I'm really happy we got. Because I never
definitely.
thought to myself, this is something I would like. This is never even something I considered. Not because I didn't think I would like it, but the idea just never came to my head. But I'm so glad this exists. It's really fucking good.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. It's not like the last track, which was the track that no one asked for and no one cares about now that it's come out. Yeah, but I mean, I'll be honest. Overall, I reckon this has been a pretty weak set of releases. Obviously, the Stonebank one was not great. The Choppy one was fine in my mind. And Moving Hectic was really good. This was really good. But Bubble was shit, and the Intercom one was a bit of a disappointment. And I feel like overall this has been a bit of a letdown of a few releases. Do you agree, Pete?
Not at all. I reckon 3 out of 6 being really fucking good in my opinion. Like, at minimum, really fucking good is great, because that's 50-50, and I'm very happy to... like, if a Monstercat album came out these days and I really liked half of the tracks, I'd be totally happy with that. I don't need to like every single one, because not all of it's for me. And that's how I feel about, like, the Stonebank stuff. That's not really my kind of music, but I know other people enjoy it. But I really fucking like half of the 6 we talked about, so I'm happy with that.
Fair enough. But so yeah, I think that's the end of the reviews of music today. Does that bring us on to the news segment of the podcast?
It does.
What's been happening, Peter? What's been happening in the news? Tell us.
I have quite a few things over the last week. Colprate is again doing the Unity project part 2, which
Yes.
part 1 was a thing a while ago, and I haven't actually gotten
It's
a
very
chance
good.
to listen to all of them. But the first track of this new one just came out, and I'm already falling in love with it, because it's a collab between Colprate and AU5, which, I don't know if you know, but I fucking love AU5 so much. The way he does melodies and the way he does everything, I absolutely love him. And to see him work with someone do heavy shit like Colprate,
He's a genius.
I'm so happy to see this happen. So there'll be a link in the description to go and listen to the track that they made together. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's called Impulse. But whatever it's called, it's really fucking good. So please, do yourself a pleasure. In fact, you know what? I'll talk about it more a bit later. Kayzo has new music coming out this month. Didn't say a label or anything like that, so we'll see what happens. Sanholo released a new track.
Wait, is it? I think I might have heard the preview for some Kayzo song and it was like, sounds awful. It was like shitty dubstep or something. I don't know, but God, I want Kayzo to be good. God, this time was so good. But yeah, what else is there?
San Holo released a new track and a music video called "I Still See Your Face," and the music video is weird. It's him singing, looking all shy and cutesy, but the song's actually like, the drop is very minimal, and I really, really like that. So I would say,
Yeah, when San Holo's good, he's a legend.
Yeah. So please, I heard it while I was doing the news. Please do yourself a favor and go and listen to that song because it's actually really, really good. This is an interesting one. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about... This isn't necessarily Monstercat related at all, but still, it's very EDM important, and it's interesting to talk about. The track that I talked about as my Non-Monstercat track a couple of weeks ago, what was it called? Alive by DROELOE and Goja. DROELOE, one of the artists from that, was accused of, like, sound stealing and plagiarism and whatever without permission by Zenji, which was a sound that he used in one of the tracks from, interestingly, his collab with Culprate on the Unity Project Part 1, called Ghost Machine. And this guy pretty much accused DROELOE of stealing sounds, and there was like massive plagiarism things, and it wasn't looking good for DROELOE. But he released a video where he revealed that sound is a preset. So, so Zenji accused DROELOE for plagiarism of a preset. How is that even...
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Yeah, no, that means Zenji didn't make the sound, which means there is no plagiarism at all, which... that I don't understand. Why would you do that? Like, it does sound really similar, but if it is a preset, then that would make sense why it sounds similar, because it's the same thing. Like, I don't know what Zenji would be trying to gain here from accusing someone of plagiarism when it's on something like a preset. And I'm very glad to hear that an artist that I just discovered and really liked is doesn't actually plagiarize people. But it's interesting to talk about, and I don't understand why it happened.
Yeah.
Kotek is releasing a remix.
That's a weird story.
Soon.
It's an interesting one.
Alright, Droptech is releasing a remix soon of something. I can't remember what it was. It's not a song I've heard of before, or an artist I've heard of. But more Droptech is definitely something I'm interested in, so...
Droptech remix?
Now, I'll tell you something that does excite me. It does excite me quite a lot.
Yeah?
Resonate posted on his Snapchat story.
Yes! Yes, I heard!
A snap with a picture of him using all his good old music programs, and the caption says Canvas Part 2, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. So, that's got me very, very, very intrigued. More than anything else, that pretty much sounds like a guarantee that it won't be R&B. So, that's a good start in and of itself.
Yes,
and
yes.
I know that there's like almost no way that it'll be as good as the original, but if he can do something else in that same style, which is something we obviously haven't heard since like 2014, I would love to hear it, because that whole era of Resonate and the Prelude EP, which I did reviews on, I absolutely love what he was doing with his sound design, and the emotions and things he was doing in the duration of that EP in that era, I absolutely loved it. So if he's going to go back to doing something like that, I don't care if it's not as good as the original Canvas. Anything more in that style, I am extremely happy to hear. And I assume that'll mean it'll have his own vocals, because he did his own vocals in the original Canvas, and I really, really like his voice. So I think that'll shape up to be something good, and I think it'll be difficult for that to be better than Canvas, but it'll also be difficult to be bad. So I'm very, very intrigued to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's exciting as hell.
What do we got? Unlike Pluto is working on a track which has his own vocals on it. Speaking of artists doing their own vocals, which is interesting to hear. I'm not sure what it'd sound like, but more Unlike Pluto, he's an artist I quite like a lot, so I'm interested to see what he'll do with it. But to me, that pretty much just says Unlike Pluto is working on a track. The whole thing about his own vocals doesn't really matter that much to me.
Yeah.
What else we got? Mern is releasing a new track on Monstercat that was previewed on the podcast called Confessions, which has, what's her name, Cozy Zuzeldorf or whatever her name is, which, you know, the vocals are like, they're alright, but I've heard all of this on the podcast. The drop's really weird and cool. It's very, very brassy. Like, really, really brassy.
Who's it by?
Mern.
Oh, yeah, I heard a bit of that. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it sounds really, really fucking cool. So keep your eyes out
Sounds
for that.
like
We'll definitely probably be
future
talking
bass.
about that next week when we get to that podcast, because that's
Yeah.
when it'll be released. And there is new music coming from Kuro on the 18th, which is exciting to hear because I like Kuro quite a bit. But that is pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah. So, thank you for the news bit. That was good. What does that bring us to now?
That brings us to the Monstercat.
Is this the second last... yes, the Monstercat track of the day. This is the segment in which last week we will have randomly selected an album in which we had a week to prepare a track to talk about from that album. Any album from Monstercat between album 1 to album 28? Is it?
Yeah.
Album 1 to 28? Yep. And we're going to choose a track that we either think is good or really bad or just interesting to talk about. And so, what was the album?
8.
I forget. What was last week's album? It was
One
album...
of my favorites.
Oh, yes. Yes, this is a really good album. So I assume you have a track you want to talk about from album, mate?
Look, there's the easy option, and then there's a bunch of
there
other
is.
options. So I'll let you go first, and I'll think about which I want to go with.
Oh, alright, well, God, there's so many
I
choices.
know. We can talk about a couple
know.
briefly. We've got time.
We got time? Yeah, we do. Well, I mean... No, I can't decide, Pete. You're gonna have to.
All right.
You're gonna have to go.
Well,
You have to go. I need
If
more
I'm going to
time
be
for this.
talking about multiple things, I think I'm definitely going to start with the easy option, which is probably my absolute favorite Pegboard Nerd song of all time, that being Rocktronic, which is... The problem about choosing a song like this is I just don't know how to describe it. It does so many things well. Like, the drops... It's got... One of my favorite things about the drops has always been... The drops, especially like the first one, the beat... This song is breaks, but the beat starts off really 1, 2, 1, 2, with a little bit of variation in there. But as the song goes on and it gets like weirder and weirder, the beat gets more and more like a normal breaks beat, which is not something I've ever heard before. And I really love the progression of the first and third drops, of how they turn from pretty normal into just really cool sound design all over the fucking place. And this song is just the epitome of Pegboard Nerds doing something interesting with sound design, which is something that I wish they did more these days.
Yeah. If you, I think I might choose a track. Seeing as we were, but yeah, I agree, Rocktronic is amazing. But, seeing as we were talking about Resonate earlier, it's only fitting to talk about, one of my favorite Resonate tracks.
I can see what you're listening
Revolt.
to on Spotify right now. I know what's coming.
Revolt by Resonate. I mean, it's Resonate doing melodic dubstep, and I don't know if you agree, Pete, but Resonate's melodic dubstep is incredible. It's just so it's so beautiful. Oh my god, the way he just like, even though it's quite generic and quite slow, just the melodies are so big and beautiful, and the vocals in the song are really nice and cute and small and like understated, which I really like. And all of the melodies, while it is quite generic in sort of its melodic dubstep stuff, it's just, I don't know, it's just a classic, and I really like the track just because it's really beautiful and it's a classic melodic dubstep track. It's not as good as Lonely, and it's not as good as some of his other melodic dubstep tracks.
For the time,
Revolt
especially.
Resonate.
This is like...
Yeah, definitely. Like, melodic dubstep at the time was all just awful. But, this one I love. And then I think I have one other track that I'll have in mind, but I'll let you choose another one, Pete.
Well,
we might do two.
I feel like if there's another track that I would especially have to talk about from this album, it's a track by a certain artist that I feel goes under the rug and unnoticed quite often, but it's Don't Push Me by Tut Tut Child, which is...
Fuck! Oh, shit. I was gonna do that.
It's such a fucking cool song.
I just assumed
Mm?
I just assumed you were gonna say people say, so I thought I was safe.
No, Don't Push Me by Tut Tut Child. Apart from the wank vocal chop, which is, well, it's quite a
Yeah, it does sound like a guy just repeating wank.
It's
wank.
quite a wonderful meme. But this is the probably one of the earliest examples of Tut Tut Child doing like dubstep kind of stuff, because in the beginning he did a lot of Moomba and electro kind of stuff. Like his first track was Moomba and his second was electro. But this, I feel like looking back at what some of Tut Tut Child's older music can sound like, the idea of early Tut Tut Child dubstep would worry me at a certain time. But this track, one of the things I love about it is, you know, in line up with what we were talking about earlier, it's got a lot of that world building at the start. It's got a really cool atmosphere in like the first minute of the song. And then when it drops, it's just like the main bass is just so hard and heavy, and it really carries the theme and atmosphere it's built up into the drop. And it's just such a cool song. And if I recall correctly, it was like the first really heavy Tut Tut Child song that you liked, Mika. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I have a little bit to say on Don't Push Me. It's like, before Don't Push Me, before I heard this track, I just refused to listen to any heavy music. This was like 3 years ago. Maybe even 4 years ago. I refused to listen to any. I would only ever listen to chill stuff. I wouldn't listen to happy stuff, and I wouldn't listen to heavy stuff. And so pretty much the only artist on Monstercat I could listen to was like Tristam, Direct, and some Pigboard Nerd stuff, and some like other sad like resonate-y stuff. And this song sort of broadened my horizon so much, because it was the first heavy song that I sat down and I was like, you know what, I can actually dig this one. And it sort of opened up the world of bassy music, which I now fucking adore. But Don't Push Me.
That and Blue by AU.
Yeah, Blue as well.
I remember songs.
Yeah, oh god, Blue is such a fucking song. But yeah, Don't Push Me it's wonderful. It's just so heavy, and like the drive of the song, the bass is just so drivey.
It feels heavy for a reason as well.
Yeah,
it feels like the dark, brooding atmosphere warrants it, unlike a lot of bro step these days, which, as we've said many times before, just feels heavy for the sake of it.
Yeah, the song feels angry, not just heavy. It feels like angry, which is really cool. Yeah, it has that classic growly sound that Tut Tut Child does so well.
Also, something I'd like to point out, there is 2 songs on this album that are 3.5 minutes. Everything else is longer. 4 minutes, like 4.5, seems to be like the minimum. Sorry, there's 3 that are like 3 minutes, but
Jesus,
like
people say is 6.5 minutes.
I know.
Damn.
It's almost 7.
Yeah, I miss songs being long.
I mean, to be fair, 4.5, 5 minutes isn't that long. But it's much longer than they are now, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, just real quick, so I guess we'll both talk about 2 tracks. The last track I'll just talk about real quick it's one that I very rarely hear people talking about, and it's just this really, really nice, beautiful track. It's Ocean City by Eminence. It's just so, like, that is a song you can just, like, sit back and close your eyes and listen to. It's just, like, I don't know, just all of the melodies are just so smooth and nice. And the way the song progresses in that sort of trancey prog house style, where it just slowly builds and adds things and slowly does stuff. It's just, like, this really is the definition of a song that, like, puts you in a trance. It really is, like, a true trance track in that way. And the song is just really beautiful. And there's not much to say in it, because it's quite simple. But it's just, like, really, really well constructed melodies, and really well paced, and really well structured track. And yeah, there's not that much to say. It's just a really beautiful track that you can just sit back and close your eyes and listen to. And sort of it's quite rare to find this sort of more relaxed music in early Monstercat, and when it's there, it's often pretty damn good. And so yeah, really, really nice song. Yeah, so that's all we have to say.
But before we move on, I gotta give a shout out to Free My World, People Say, Pressure Cooker, and Live It Up. Those 4 songs.
Yeah,
if I was gonna talk about any other songs, I would talk about one of those.
Yeah, Live It Up's amazing. That was another song that sort of got me into heavy, because it's just so cool. It's like Animal Instinct, but not quite as hard.
Weird.
Not quite as weird. I love Animal Instinct now, but for like 2 years that song's a meme between our friend group, like me and Xavier and Pete, of just how awful it was. Like we all thought it was the worst song. Actually, Xavier quite liked it, but it's still a joke of like how terrible it was. Now I listen to it, I'm like, alright, it's pretty badass, but for a while we thought it was like the worst song ever. But so yeah, that brings us to the final oh no, shit, we gotta go to the we gotta get a random number generator.
The next album.
Yeah, we gotta find.
So
yeah, right now we're just gonna find a random album from 1 to 28, just to see what we're gonna be talking about next week, and we'll have a week to prepare and talk about a couple tracks. So yeah,
11.
Album 11, the one of the worst.
Yeah.
It's got like 3 good tracks.
Hey, there's one that I really want to talk about, so that's good.
Yeah,
That's
I know
all
what
I
I'm talking
need.
about. I've already got it. Alright, so that brings us to the final segment of the day. This is the non-Monstercat track of the day. This is basically where we both just find one track, or short album if we need to, that we found recently that's not on Monstercat and that we really think that you guys need to check out. You know, and just like really good songs. And so, I'll kick it off. DROELOE is an artist that I just love. And don't worry, I'm not talking about A Moment in Time. Everyone knows that exists. But if you haven't heard A Moment in Time, go listen to that. But DROELOE is just, I don't know, just in a similar way to Grant, they're one of the very few artists that's actually doing creative things with future bass recently, which is a great thing. Even though they're more of a trap artist, they still sort of blur the lines between trap and future bass. I think you'd agree. And they just, their sound design is unparalleled in that sort of, in that side of it. It's just so good. It's so clean and so smooth and such cool, pure, good sounds that DROELOE does, and they're just amazing. And so the song, if you watch Red Hawk Director, you might recognize the song, but I found it recently, and it's called Nothing Wrong by DROELOE, and it has it's a collab with a artist called Vinzere, and it was from the Bitbird compilation album Golden Finch Volume 1, and if you haven't heard Golden Finch, go listen to it, because it's Bitbird, so it's gonna be good. So this song, if you've watched John's ranking videos for a long time, he used it as like the outro song, and it's weird. Like, this is a really strange.
Such a meme to me.
It's such a strange future bass song, but it's just so cool. Like, it has DROELOE's like classic beats, and the first bit of the drop is what you'll have heard in John's video. It's a bit of a odd sounding thing, but just the way that in this drop the main lead bends and changes and turns, and it's just really cool. And the song goes through lots of different stages where the beat and melodies and stuff sound really different throughout the track, and it's one of those like future bassy trap tracks. It's probably more on the trap side. Yeah, and it's not the most amazing track in the world, but it's just another classic DROELOE track, and it's really, really good. And so if you haven't heard it, please listen to it. It's really, really, really good, and let us know what you think about it down below. Pete, what is your suggested track? I think I already know, but tell us about it.
Do you? I don't. Do you? Well, we'll see. This is a track from an artist that we all know and love, known as REZZ, and this is from REZZ's most recent album, known as. What did you think I was gonna say?
I thought you were gonna talk about the 85 thing.
Oh, yeah, I was, but I changed my mind because I want to talk about a specific song from the album Mass Manipulation, which is REZZ's most recent album. Only came out a month or two ago. There's only one track, if I had to choose one, that I can talk about from this album, and that's Ascension with Kotek, which is the last song off of the album, which overall, really fucking good album. However, this track, to me, stands miles above the rest. And that's not an insult. Don't get me wrong, that is not an insult to any of the other songs on the album. That is a compliment to this song, because I love it so much. And this is probably my favorite REZZ song. And you know, when you're working with Kotek, you got something good going on, which, you know, Kotek isn't... Yeah. I wouldn't have expected this collaboration to be entirely...
Yeah, I would not expect to see Kotek on Mousetrap. I'd never expect to see Kotek on Mousetrap.
But here we are, and how wonderful of a thing it is.
Yeah, this is not a Mousetrap sounding song. You very rarely get Mousetrap songs with just like 2 drops and like sort of traditional electronic sounding stuff. But this song, I agree, is incredible. It's so like industrial and mean, and the sounds are so like dry.
I don't even want to describe it that much. Just go and listen to it.
Yeah, please.
It's
and if you like REZZ, if you like REZZ and you haven't already, just listen to the entire Mass Manipulation album, because it's REZZ. Like, you know what you're getting into. And besides a couple tracks that are a bit empty, I think one or two of them are a bit empty, most of the tracks are really, really good and have her classic sort of sound design, which is just sort of weird and like just makes you feel a little uncomfortable, which I really love. Yeah, she's just, I don't know, she's great. And yeah, it's really good to see a female artist not being ghost produced and actually making her own music. And even being on, like, one of EDM's biggest labels, which is good to see. And, yeah, she's just... REZZ is fucking great. I have a lot of respect for her. Yeah. I think that should bring us to the end of the podcast. Would you not say?
It does.
Yeah. How do we get through this so quickly? We had quite a quick podcast here, didn't we?
It's been a decent amount of time.
How long has it been?
An hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah, an hour and 5. Yeah, I was reading my recording. I read it the wrong way around, and I thought it said an hour 15. I was like, oh my god! But no, an hour and 5. Yeah, it's been to get through 6 tracks in that amount of time is quite good. But yes, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Pete, for being on. Let us know down below in the comments what you think of all the tracks we've talked about today, as well as the ones we've suggested you listen to. Go suggest us some tracks to listen to. You might just, introduce us to new artists or something that we really like. So yes, thanks heaps for listening. We'll be back next week with a couple new tracks to talk about, a couple new tracks to suggest. And yeah, just give us your comments. We love the comments. We respond to them as often as we can, which is most of them. All of them, I think, most of the time. All of them, most of the time.
All 4 of them.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you again next week. Goodbye.